in the Bible, and then and trying to find the church. The church is not even there anymore.
Wow.
and, first, and where I was born is in a little house up on the hill, and there's a hospital there now. I was in Brazil about 8 months ago, and there's a big hospital there. So they have no record of that. However, when the Social Security came out, I was at the age, which is 34, 35, somewhere in there, and I was working, and they sent a guy to interview me to get my age and so on. And then when I told him my age, he said, "Oh no, you couldn't be." Then he said, because they had no, you look too good. He said to be at this age. I said, well, you're right in a sense. I said, because people born in America of color at that time, they had no birth certificate. Whatever the name was, who bought the slaves, that was their name. I said, but I wasn't born in America. I was born in Vitória, Brazil, and my name is Bernando Lapallo, and I was born in 1901. He refused to believe it. He said, "You look too good." He said, "Yes." He said, I'll give you 1909."
Wow.
And yes, so I was the government. The government beat me out of 8 or 9 years. However, I'm happy. I think they're sorry that they did it, because I'm still living and drawing over $2,500 a month from them.
That is amazing.
But anyway, I mean, at the age that he had me put in at, anyhow, that's another story. We wouldn't go into all that now.
Wow. So your father's Brazilian, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And your mother's Brazilian too?
No, my mother's American.
Oh,
That's where the trick came in. As I told him, I said, you're right so far as the Americans are concerned, because they had no way of knowing what their birth was. I said, because if when the slave ship came over, and I went down and bought a slave, and my name was Johnson, that's the name he went under. And whatever age that they wanted him to be, that's the age he was. I said, so they had no birth certificate or nothing. I said, so it's very simple for you to believe that I wouldn't know my age, even though I'm born 1901 and there's a record of that in Brazil. I even went and got my mother afterwards when I got my first check, and I was short of money, according to the way it was set up. I said, well, Mother, they wouldn't give me 1901. He said, I look too good. And he said, the only way they can get that is have to contact the church. So I took my mother down to the Social Security Board, and they said, oh, it's too long. It take us too long to get that. We'll give you 1909.
Wow.
And the government beat me out of that money. But, however, I'm living today and drawing over $500 a week from them.
Fascinating.
So I guess, I guess they said, well, if it's been on 1901 or 1902, it wouldn't make any difference. I worked long enough to draw that kind of money and made that kind of Social Security savings.
Wow.
But that's another story, so let's go into what you want to know about now.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. So I've looked at some of your videos online, and from what I can gather, you attribute your incredible longevity to your lifestyle and your what you eat. Is that correct?
I am a health freak because my father made me that way. My father was a health enthusiast. Even though he was a doctor and a medical doctor, plus being born in the backwoods of Brazil, he had an awful lot to do with herbs. And of course, at that time, they called, people in America called them root doctors. They were root doctors. That was the name. There was no such thing as the name that they have now. But anyway, the wind-up was that my age, you'll find, they gave me 1909. They decided to take away. They didn't give me on Social Security I'm talking about.
Okay.
But even at that, I'm well over 100, so it doesn't matter.
That is
And I'm kind of
incredible.
healthy, never been sick a day in my life, and I am healthy. And I have a daughter who's 75 years old, or 76 now, and she's never been sick. Another one's 78, same, raised in New York, 90 years. I lived in New York, never had a cold, never been sick a day in my life.
Wow.
And that is why, if you saw me, right, in other words, if you pull up online, they might have a book there. The first one I wrote was, it's called Age Less and Live More. You can pull me up online, you'll find I wrote my first book there. And it sold very, very well, so I decided to put out a second book. And it's an e-book, and it's on Apple, not right now. You can get it on Apple now. The
That's
e-book, but the books on hand, the handbooks that you can buy right from the store and read, they're not out yet. They're looking for them every day to be finished.
wow.
The handbook.
So at the
But
moment you've got a book out on iTunes, is that right?
I beg your pardon?
Is it on iTunes, Apple iTunes, that you've got it out
Yes,
available?
Apple. Yes.
And for the folks out there, if they wanted to get a hard copy, that one isn't out yet.
No, it's not. It's being printed right now. I don't know how soon it'll be out, but they had to change everything around, you know. The only difference is the e-book, all my family is in there, grandmother and all of them, and it's in color. But the print book that's coming out will not be in color, but it has the same contents, the same writing. I've never been sick a day in my life. I lived in New York 90 years. Never sick, never had a cold. My kids are the same way because I gave them the same medicine that my father gave me, which was, you are what you eat. You eat properly and get your rest. Well, I'll tell you, I'll put it in one form for you, and it's very easy to figure out. Everybody asks me, what is your secret? You're still looking so youthful. And I said, well, my father told me this, and I obeyed everything he told me. Obedience and moderation.
Wow.
That's it. Obedience and moderation. I said, you can do anything you want, but as long as you do what God says, and moderately, fine. So anyway, that is my stamp on looking youthful as I do and staying healthy like I have. I've never been sick. I lived in New York 90 years. I never had a cold.
That
I never
sounds
been
like...
sick a day in my life. And I'm healthy right now. I make speeches all over the country.
Wow. So you're a busy man traveling around talking about this to people all over the United States?
Yeah, I still do. As a matter of fact, I'm booked now. Let me see, at least 5 or 6 setups right now in different parts of the country.
Wow.
And in fact, I'll be coming to Europe after my big book comes out. I'll be going to Europe to visit my daughter, and I'll be making speeches in Paris and various other countries where my manager is going to take me.
Wow. Well, if you want to come to England, we'd love to set something up for you. We could definitely have
Well, I'd have to turn that over to my manager. He would have been, well, he wants me to come in the worst way. Oh, he wants me to come. He wants me to get on a boat, but I don't want to fly that distance. He said, well, take a boat, and I'll meet you in Paris, and we'll get in touch with your daughter, and then we can get the trains, whatever we want to ride in, all over Europe in no time, without flying. Because I refuse to fly.
Okay.
Just sitting. Even when I go to make speeches now, I tell them I'm not going to sit in an hour. I have to get up and walk around. So schedule me to talk to you as soon as possible. Okay. And that's what happened. Anyway, I'll answer whatever questions you want me to answer.
Okay, I know you mentioned that you attribute your longevity to five particular foods, and just for the listeners out there, could you just talk a little bit about those foods that you?
Yes, well, I go by what my father told me, and he was a doctor and a herbologist. They didn't call them herbologists at that time. They called them root doctors, which that's what they were for nature. And he taught me how to eat, and I followed everything. He told me how to keep my body in shape, to take care of it. And everything that he told me, I have been doing it until today. From washing my feet, because they're tied up all day in shoes and socks, and they get no air, and first thing you know, you got a callus, and that behind that you got a corn. So when you come home, take off your shoe, bathe your feet, and massage them in olive oil, and you'll never get a corn. And that has happened for over 100 years. As a matter of fact, I made a speech in Scottsdale last week, and I was telling them that I pulled off my shoes, and I showed them. I said, I guarantee there's no woman in the earth's face is smooth as my face. You use all kind of creams. All I use is olive oil. The church almost fell out, but they came up and put their hand on my feet. My God, they're like a baby. I said, well, all you have to do is bathe them. They're tied up in a sock all day long. They get no air. And first thing you know, you have a callus. But if you bathe them regularly and massage them in olive oil, they'll stay smooth. I said, here's a proof for it right here. Oh, they fell out. The women were coming by, feeling my feet. Oh, my goodness. They feel like a baby. I said, yes, because they've been taken care of. So I'm quite an audience stopper when it comes to that. I showed them my knees, my elbows. I have no wrinkles nowhere.
Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing a video of you once, and I remember looking at actually the skin on your elbows, and I was like, wow, it looks like he's like 30 years old.
Yes, because the answer is olive oil.
Wow.
Massage in olive oil, and then you'll never wrinkle. I know because I'm 112 right now, and I have no wrinkles nowhere.
Wow.
And I showed them that on my last speech. Everybody had a fit. Oh, my God, look at that. I said, well, I gave you the answer. It was given to me by my father, and over 100 years ago, and I've been doing it. That's why when I make speeches, you ask me my secret, and I tell you, obedience and moderation.
Wow.
The Bible tells you that, I said.
Wow.
This is a big church, huge church. Oh, they just went crazy. They want me to come back when my paperback book comes out. And the guy was there with the ebook, and he showed them a bit of it, and my family and everything, and the way I look. And when I told you I pulled off my shoes, and the women were coming by, putting their hand on my feet, upset the whole church, but everybody wants to see it. So I said, talk is cheap, but when here I am in person. If you want to see, I'll show you. I showed them my arms. I pulled up my sleeve. I said, you don't see no skin hanging to you. It's all firm and smooth. Yes. Now, they just couldn't believe it. They still can't believe it. I said, that's why when people ask me my secret and I'm making speeches, I said obedience and moderation. That's the answer. If you go live through that, obedience, obey what the good master tells you to do, and in moderation. I said, you can have a glass of wine. One, don't become a wino. You can have a glass of anything you want. The only thing I suggest is drink 4 glasses of a glass of water. I said, nothing can live without water. Nothing. I said, you go to the mountains or wherever you go for a walk, and you can have the finest food ever made. But when it comes down to water, if you don't have water, in no time you'll be dead. They're all the finest food they make. Water is it.
Exactly.
And of course, I elaborate on that, the water, which is true, and I know because I have been doing it for over 100 years. Anytime you can live in the city of New York for 90 years and never have a cold and raise a family there and none of them have a cold, get sick, uh, you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
what I said doing right is eating properly and drinking water.
So at the moment you live in, is it in Phoenix,
I beg your
Arizona?
pardon?
At the moment you live in Phoenix, is that right?
I beg your pardon?
At the moment you live in Arizona, in Phoenix, is that right?
That's right.
So you moved there, I heard, about 10 years ago. So you lived in New York most of your life.
I lived here. I was brought to New York by my father at age 5. And I lived there periodically, except when I sailed the seas and was traveling. I worked as a chef for quite a few years all over the country.
Wow.
And that's when I was telling you, the Social Security came out and rest. And
Wow.
that's what I did. I've been
Wow.
doing it all my life. I still do it. I haven't changed anything. I still bathe my feet now and massage them in olive oil before I go to bed at night. Not only my feet, my whole body from top to head.
Wow.
So from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I've been doing it. My children, I got the daughter 75 or 76 now, and she doesn't look anything like it. Another one's 68, and she doesn't look anything like it. Everybody said, well, his granddaughter, 50 some odd, Erica, the one that she was talking with, and she looks like maybe 35 or 20.
Wow.
Anyway, it all depends on how you take care of that image that was considered. God made you in His own image. If you take care of it, and the only way to take care of it is obedience, obey what it says, moderation. You
Wow.
can have a drink, yeah, moderately. You can have a piece of meat, yes, but don't overload yourself with it because the body is not equipped to handle.
Okay.
The only what let's put it this way: I obeyed the way my father taught me, and today I guarantee you, if I saw it, matter of fact, the new book. Have you seen my old book?
Yeah, I've seen your old book. I
All
was
right,
looking
well,
through.
you see the picture of me?
Yes.
That's just the way I look now. I haven't changed one bit.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was quite astonished at that, actually. So basically, you're. I was under the impression that you ate mostly a raw food diet, but you do include some cooked foods and some other foods. Is that right?
No, no, I stick to the same food that I've been eating all my life.
Okay.
Green vegetables and fruit and lots of water. At
Wow.
least 8 glasses of water per day. And in case you think the water is not pure, you take it from the sink and boil it. Because every time a doctor gets ready to operate, they have two sterilized in hot water. And my daddy told me, he said, boil your water and put it in the icebox, and in the morning when you get ready to cook the oatmeal, he said, you take it out and put some cinnamon in it, and if you don't have cinnamon sticks to have the water, cook your oatmeal in cinnamon, and use honey. Don't use sugar for anything. I don't use sugar and nothing like that. I was a chef for years, all
Wow.
over the country. I never use sugar. I always use honey. And I've never been sick one day in my life. Believe that. Not a day. Not even a cold. And I'm 112 years of age.
Wow. So I heard you mentioned chocolate as well is something that you eat.
Chocolate?
Yes.
Chocolate is okay.
Okay.
Uh, in moderation. It's
Oh,
like anything else. As I say, it has to be in moderation.
okay. So
Uh, you,
what does a
you go.
typical day look like for you in terms of food? What exactly would you eat in any given day?
Well, I eat the same thing every day. Green vegetables and fresh fruit, and at least 8 glasses of water.
Wow.
And my oatmeal is still, I still use the same, like I told you before.
Wow.
boil my water with cinnamon sticks. I cook my oatmeal in cinnamon water. And I've been doing that, and I don't change. I never change. I do the same thing every day.
Wow.
When I have my walk, and when I come back from my walk, I make my breakfast, and I cook oatmeal with cinnamon water that I have. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh yeah, and the water has been boiled, and I cook my oatmeal in it, and blueberries on top of blueberries. I love them. They are great. I live on fruit and vegetables, and some fish, which is salmon.
Okay. So
Uh,
you have a little bit
uh,
of fish.
yes, but I don't eat any red meat.
Okay.
No, I live on vegetables and green vegetables and fruit.
So mostly
That's what I
vegetables
live
and
on.
fruit. Now you mentioned olive oil that you massage in it. Do you eat olive oil as well on your salads?
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh well, on my salad, very much so. Oh
Wow.
yes. I use olive oil inside and out, from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head.
Hmm.
And I'm 112 years old, and
Wow.
my hair is still there. Well, you can see that on the picture in the book. And if you saw my skin, you'll say, it's impossible. Hello.
Wow. Yeah, I could see that from some of your videos. I was actually quite astonished. It was very, very, very interesting to know your age from what you actually look like. And you say you pretty much look the same as you did back when you wrote your rubber book, which was when?
Oh, that's about 8 years ago.
Okay.
You get
Wow.
one moment, please.
Oh, it's okay. Yes, no
Hello.
problem. Hi there.
I'm sorry, but my phone's ring. That was my debit phone, and then so many people call me every 20 minutes. The phone is ringing.
That's fine.
But anyway, where were we?
So yeah, we were just talking a little bit about your diet, and you were mentioning that you, as well as putting olive oil on the outside of your skin, you also eat it on your salads. One thing I wanted to ask you was, do you use salt at all?
Do I do what?
Do you use salt?
Oh no salt.
No salt
No,
at
no,
all.
no. If I do, it's sea salt.
So sea salt.
Yes,
Okay.
and my in-laws from Puerto Rico send me the natural stuff, sea salt.
Okay. So you use sea salt.
I'm telling you, it's better than any salt that you can get from the store.
Yes. Well, I totally agree.
I'm very particular about health. I'm a health bug. That's why I look as well as I do. My brain functions as well as they are, and my skin stays as smooth as a baby's because I do everything like Daddy told me.
Wow.
And it's worked over 100 years, and I wouldn't change anything. People try to get me to change. I go to all these meetings and they tell me about eating this way, eating that way. I said, well, I've been eating the way my father told me to do for over 100 years. And you see me now. I have no wrinkles, I'm not bald, and my brain and eyes are still functioning properly. So that's the proof.
Exactly.
But what I've been doing for myself and my family is right.
Absolutely. Well, if it ain't fixed, don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
I beg your pardon?
If it isn't broke, don't try to fix it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
I
So
don't change. I listen to all these things, meetings that I go to and whatnot, but I will not change. Whatever they say is I listen. Daddy told me that. Excuse me. Daddy says, listen, you don't have to agree, but listen. And that's what I do. I go to these different places where they're having all the health food and this and that and the other. And they say to me, well, you look so low, why don't you know? I say, well, what I'm going to tell you, you're trying to tell people to do it now. I've been doing it all my life. So I just listen, that's all. I don't have to agree with it, as Daddy told me. Not everything, but if you've been doing something for over 100 years and can look, your brain is functioning, your eyes are good, why would I change?
Exactly. Well, I totally agree with you there. Absolutely. Um,
Hmm.
One thing I wanted to mention to you was I was looking on your Facebook page the other day, and I saw a picture of your first automobile, and I think it was like a Chrysler or something like that. And I was
Yes, you're right with the rumble seat.
well, it just gave
That's
me an
years
idea.
ago.
It just gave me an idea of exactly how much of life you must have seen, and it was just quite
Oh, my
astonishing.
friend, I saw the first airplane. I saw the first car.
Wow,
All these things. I've been here. I've been here long enough to see it
that is
and enjoy
amazing.
it and travel throughout the world and have seen everything. And God has blessed me to the point that I was well all the time, healthy. And that's the way it is. You are what you eat. There's no questions about it. If you eat properly, drink the proper amount of water. Water is very important. Stay away from that sugar and get your rest. Do everything in moderation, and the people are not going to do that. I know that they say yes, 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 you're right, but they go right on and buy a hot dog or a hamburger with French fried potatoes. Because that's the environment they live in. But
Yes.
see, I was brought up before all those things that got popular, and my father was smart enough to know to tell me. I'll give you an idea. He used to come upstairs at night after he closed the office, and I would be in bed, and he would say, "Son, this is what I want you to understand and remember. I got my message from the Heavenly Father, and I am your earthly father. And he told me to tell you, if you obey and whatever you start to do, whatever it might be, do it in moderation. He said, and I'm telling you, son, if you do like I tell you, you live to be a long, healthy life. And here I am talking to you 112 years of age, and I have no wrinkles. My brain is still functioning properly. My eyes are very good. And it all comes from taking care of the image to which the Bible tells you God made you in his own image.
Wow.
And my father was a Christian, but he didn't preach it. He lived it. And he passed it on to me. I was his only child, and he spent many time with me, and I obeyed what he told me. That is why I say to people, when they ask me, what's your secret? And I say, obedience and moderation.
Wow. So
That's the answer. And it works. It worked for me. It worked for my children.
and
But the environment today is very difficult for people to see. The idea is have a cocktail and then have lunch. You don't need a cocktail before you have lunch or dinner. Just sit down and eat the proper food. If you want to have a cocktail, drink a glass of juice. It could be carrot juice. It could it could be any kind of juice you want. It's fruit, and it will work. And it's great for the system. But you don't have to have alcohol. I'm telling you, my good friend, I haven't changed anything that my father taught me. Eat green vegetables, fruit, plenty of water. He said, water is two-thirds of the world is water. And you go for a hike or whatever, and you get lost up in the woods, and you have a gallon of water, you live as long as you have that water. But you can have a bag full of food, and in 10 days you're dead if you don't have water.
yeah.
That shows you how important water is. And in order to let your water be pure, boil it. I boil all my water, even because my wife, my second wife, that she died, she said, Daddy, I don't understand you going out and paying $2 and something for a case of water, and then you bring it home and boil it. I said, because my daddy told me to. He said, to boil it, because all instruments are sterilized with hot water, and they get it to operate. He said, so I told my wife, I said, so I boil it. It doesn't make any difference. I know that certain germs cannot live on a certain amount of heat or a certain amount of cold. So I do it because my father told me.
Fantastic.
Everybody used to say, the guys That guy, you said, his father, his daddy. I said, yeah, that's right. That's what daddy told me, and that's what I'm doing. And you know what happened? I got pictures on the wall now. The guys worked with me for 20 years. They're all dead. And they used to say I was crazy.
Wow.
All of them are dead. Every one of them. I take it back. There's one living. That's Charlie Rangel. And he's a congressman right now. And he looks like half deaf himself. His father used to deliver mail to my father's office. Charlie Rangel, he's a congressman in New York, of New York City, right in Washington, D.C. He's the only one living that knew me when I was him and my daughter about the same age, my oldest daughter.
Fascinating.
But I have proof for everything that I'm saying.
Wow.
But the next proof is my picture. And if you were here to see me walking around, you'd say, it's unbelievable. I know everybody says, look at that guy. What's he have that cane for? I say, because I walk every morning. Sometimes you step into an unlevel land and you lose your balance. And you fall down and you try to protect yourself and break a bone. And you break a bone beyond 60 years of age, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fall, so I have a cane for my third leg.
Exactly.
And then they turn around and say, that makes sense. I say, yes, of course it does. If it didn't, I wouldn't do it. I got an answer for them. You know why? Because I'm right there in person to talk to them.
Exactly.
I said, my eyes are perfect. My brain is functioning perfect. And here I am. Go to the hospitals, go to the homes, and see those people laying there at 75 and 80 and 90 years of age. They can't get a cup of tea to their mouth without spilling half of it all over themselves.
Wow.
My hand is safe now. It's just as steady now as it was when I was 30.
Amazing. Amazing.
It was because you take care of your body. You got to take care of it. You can buy a brand new Rolls Royce and sit in your garage right now and fill it with gas and don't drive it. Leave it there. Go out. When you start it up, it may start, but put, first thing you know, you got a problem. All you have to do, use it. And use it moderately. Don't overdo it. The same thing with the body. All you have to do is take care of it.
Yeah.
They say that we are made in God's image. And God is so good to you, why would you want to abuse his image? Take care of it. That's the way I was taught. My daddy was a staunch Christian, but he didn't preach it. He lived it. And he passed it down to me, and I pass it down to my kids. And I'm feeling good, and I'm happy to be able to talk to you, and you understand what I'm talking about, and I understand questions that you ask, and I answer them as intelligently as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
And I dare to say, you call up any man or woman that if they're 100, if they can talk to you as well as I've talked to you for the last 20 minutes.
Well, exactly. I totally agree. I'm absolutely astonished at your cognitive ability. So, anyway, Mr. Lapallo, we really appreciate you talking to us. I think we're going to wind it down now because...
yes, that's wonderful. Thank you for giving me a lot of time.
I really appreciate your time. And if you ever come to England, we'd love to have you and maybe host an event for you so you can speak to the people over here and inspire them the way you've inspired us.
Well, I'll tell you this. I may be in England in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Why? Because my daughter lives in Paris, and she wants me to come to visit her. And if I do, she will know it. And as a matter of fact, the e-book will tell you where I'll be at the time.
Okay, well, I'm going to go and buy your e-books right now. Is your first book available as an e-book as well?
No, I didn't have that put out on an e-book. As a matter of fact, I don't even think the e-book was out then.
Okay.
But anyway, you can get my e-book now.
Well, I'm going to go and get it now on iTunes, and I'm probably going to purchase your other book on Amazon if it's available.
Yes, you might get the old book on Age Less and Live More.
Yes.
It's online.
Yes.
You may can get it.
Okay, well, I'm going to go and get my credit card out now. But thank you again, Mr. Lapallo. We really appreciate your time. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you very much for having me.
Oh,
And maybe I'll see you in London.
Oh, that would be fantastic. We really look forward to that.
Take care of yourself, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Until then.
Okay, next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.